Hello, navigators. Today we're going to talk about the argumentative writing prompt for Hatchet by Gary Paulson. So we have already worked on the claim statement. The essay prompt was this. In the novel Hatchet by Gary Paulson, is the author able to create a story that is credible? In other words, believable. So you've already worked on formulating a claim statement. Now we're going to put the essay together this week. I want you to pay attention to the checklist. So work on it today and tomorrow. It needs to be at least 800 words. We've talked about the word count for 6th grade. Typically 800 to 1,000 is what we shoot for. If you don't have enough words, then there probably needs to be more evidence and more detail in your essay, so keep that in mind. Number 2, it says introduction includes a clear hook, background, and claim statement. We're going to get into the specifics of that here in just a moment. Your claim statement, remember, is always the last sentence in the introduction. If it's anywhere else in that introduction, or in your essay for that matter, it is not in their proper place, and formatting is extremely important for argumentative writing. Number 4, body paragraphs and conclusion all begin with a transition word. We'll take a look at that. Number 5, sentences are varied and not choppy. So make sure you're using compound and complex sentences throughout your essay as well to give it more rhythm and variation. And last but not least, make sure excellent word choice has been utilized and there are no contractions. Word choice, make sure you're looking for those power words. Remember to use your thesaurus.com if you need to, but you don't want to keep using the same words over and over, or especially we don't want to use words like really and very. Okay, you want to come up with something much more powerful than those basic words. So with your claim statement, you had to decide whether you felt the story was credible, in other words, believable, or perhaps not credible. And so your 3 reasons may be different than what we have here, but this is what we talked about in class. So what I want to talk about is the wording of your claim statement. You'll start off with your position, right? I believe, I do not believe, the story of Hatchet is credible. And then you'll say why, okay, right after this because. Now, the key is that you want to make sure you keep in mind parallel structure when you word it properly. So right after the word because, then you need to make sure that everything lines up and that the wording is the same or a very similar pattern. So I believe the story of Hatchet is credible because of the research, the age, the way. All 3 of these reasons start with the, okay? The research, the age, and the way. Okay, you want to make sure it's worded similarly. So on the flip side of that, if you do not believe it is credible, then after because you may have something like, I do not think Brian could have survived the plane crash. I think the main character is too young to know what to do, and I think a wild animal would have killed him by now. Sounds pretty rough, but you may have different reasons. The key is starting the sentence the same way. I do, I think, and I think. And don't forget your commas, especially this one right here. Hopefully remember that that's called the Oxford comma, right there before the conjunction. Okay, but you want to make sure that you use parallelism whenever you're putting together your claim statement. It's very important. So just to review the parts of argumentative writing, first of all centers around the claim. The claim is the heart of your essay. Throughout your essay, you then provide evidence to support that one claim. When it is appropriate, you'll state what's called a counterclaim, which is to recognize the other side, and then your response to that is the rebuttal. So, for example, if you feel that the story of Hatchet is credible, then you might say right here, some might say that the plane crash was not survivable. Your rebuttal then would be, I believe it is survivable because, first of all, it was going slower, the plane was. It hit the trees before it also crashed on water. All those things in your mind make it more credible. And then in the end, you will conclude your argument. That is the last step for argumentative writing. Now, your claim. It is, of course, your main argument. It is what your entire essay is wrapped around. It is your position on the topic along with your 3 reasons. And remember, the reason why we do 3 reasons is because then you have 3 body paragraphs that are written for each of those reasons. So for a 5-paragraph essay, it works very well. But it is, of course, the heart of the essay. So when you want to support your claim, what is the best evidence? Well, if you have facts and statistics, then that is always a great thing. In fact, is the best. The next best would be expert opinion, and then beyond that would be as many details as possible. So when you want to talk facts and figure statistics, you could even look up, what is the probability that a plane crash like that would survive if it was on, landed on water. Expert opinion for this particular essay, actually, you're going to talk about the fact that Gary Paulson himself has experience in all things survivalist, and he also has done his research for each thing. And at the very least, you want to make sure that you have plenty of details in your essay. The more details, the better. And you want those details to be from the story, backing up what happens. And so just to review the basic structure for argumentative, your introduction has 3 parts: the hook, the background, and the claim. Body paragraphs need to begin with that topic sentence, and of course you have a transition for that, but they focus on the evidence or building up why each of those reasons is so important. Finally, at the conclusion, you'll summarize your main points and then restate your claim. Always leave your reader with something to think about. Question is, how to begin? There are lots of ways that you may hook your reader. We like to use asking a question on Navigator Hall. Making a bold statement is great as well. Quotes can be a little bit trickier, so depending on some essays might lend themselves to the use of a quote better than others. There's always an onomatopoeia, which would be a sound or noise word. What I particularly like as well, in addition to questions though, would be paint a picture, describe a scene, and this might work perfectly for this essay. Picture this: a 13-year-old boy lost in the wilderness of Canadian North Woods, all by himself, just having survived a plane crash. Okay, perfect. The basic structure for your 5-paragraph essay includes the first paragraph, the introduction, hook, background, and claim. The second paragraph would be body paragraph 1. When you write your claim, you have 3 reasons in there. Each of these body paragraphs will fit those 3 reasons. Make sure when you start your body paragraph that you have a transition word, comma, and then your topic sentence. Okay? First and foremost, furthermore, moreover, you're perfectly, able to use those. When you go to the final paragraph then, your conclusion, something like in summary, in conclusion, in final consideration, those will be the sorts of things that you will want to use to begin that topic sentence. You'll restate your claim, summarize your main points, and then, of course, leave your reader with something to think about. Now, as a 6th grade student, paragraphs should be at least 8 to 10 sentences. And if you're writing that many, then you're very likely going to have no trouble getting to the 800-word goal for this essay and all 6th grade essays. So let's break it down. Hook, background, and claim for your introduction. You already have your claim statement, so just make some room and let's get back to the hook. Okay? You're very used to asking questions to get started with your essay, and so if you want to start with something like, can you imagine, surviving a plane crash and being all alone in the deep woods? Can you imagine what might happen to a 13-year-old boy lost in Canadian forest? Something along those lines. Again, describing a scene, all those sorts of things would work. So think of some way that you want to hook your reader. The key then is background information. And so what you're going to do is assume your reader has never heard of this book, and you're going to provide them with some background information about the book, who the main character is, the basic conflict of the story, which is that he, is lost now in the wilderness after a plane crash, and then give me a little more information about maybe what he's encountered so far. Because the next thing you're going to do is go right into your claim statement where you mention things like a plane crash and all these other things that have happened to him. So it's very simple. A question, background information about the book, and then insert your claim statement that you already have. Now you're ready for the body paragraphs. With the body paragraphs and the conclusion, make sure you begin with transitions. And typically those transitions have a comma between the transition and the topic sentence. The topic sentence is just taking what was already in your claim statement and restating it down there to begin your body paragraph. So your 3 reasons in your claim statement essentially become the topic sentences then for your body paragraphs. Okay, once you have your topic sentence, this is where you have these supporting statements and or evidence. These are in two different colors, but that's just because when we initially taught this, I wanted you to know the difference between a supporting statement and evidence. Supporting statements are things that back up the information. A lot of times they can be opinions, though, or expert opinions. Evidence would be more facts and things that walk the reader through the information. Now, with this essay, you may or may not have a claim statement and a rebuttal for each of your body paragraphs. The big one would be the plane crash. That is where if someone disagrees that the story is credible, it's probably because they don't believe that the boy would have survived the plane crash. So when you talk about that in your essay, that's where you're probably going to have the counterclaim rebuttal. You may not have one for each point. So if you have questions on that, please email me. You need to have at least one counterclaim and rebuttal within your essay, but not all of your points may work for that. And it kind of depends on what you've chosen for some of your reasons. So email me if you have any questions on that. And finally, your conclusion. So again, we begin with a transition. We have a comma. We have our topic sentence here. And then you go through and you summarize your main points for your reader. You just spent 3 body paragraphs talking about your main points, so here you summarize them again. Remember, a conclusion is almost like a mini essay within the essay. This is you standing in front of the courtroom making your final closing statement. What do you want your reader or your audience to remember, right? And then last but not least, be dramatic. Leave them with something to think about. Drive home the point that you want to make and make sure that there is no question that they agree with you. Don't ask them, do you agree with me? Remember, take a bold stance and use bold language. You automatically assume that there's no way they could possibly do anything but agree with you because you've made such great points, right? All right, very good. Again, navigators, if you have any questions, do email me and let me know, or you can call and text me on my Google number. We're going to work on the essay today and Wednesday, and then in theory, we'll try to work on it in success time as well for every day that we are present. All right, have a great day. Stay warm.